The storm had already erased the road behind her when she placed her hand on the rusted iron door of the abandoned lighthouse, a place the town had forgotten and the ocean had nearly claimed. Most people only saw a homeless woman chasing shelter from the rain, but in that moment, standing on the edge of the United States coastline with nothing but a $5 bill and a lifetime of loss behind her, Margaret Hale was stepping into a destiny she never imagined. What waited inside that lighthouse was not just refuge in the cold, but a truth powerful enough to rewrite her entire existence. If you believe in silent heroes, in second chances that arrive when hope feels gone, take a moment now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. Stories like this remind us that even the most forgotten lives can still matter. Margaret had once lived a life that looked ordinary from the outside. She had been a school librarian in a small coastal town in Maine, a quiet woman with kind eyes and a habit of saving pressed flowers between book pages. Her husband, Thomas, worked as a marine electrician, spending long weeks repairing navigation systems along the shore. They never had children, but they had laughter, shared meals, and dreams of growing old near the sea. Then came the accident, a faulty ladder, a sudden fall, and a phone call that split her life cleanly into before and after. Thomas was gone, and the world seemed to move on without her consent. Grief slowly dismantled everything she knew. Medical bills drained their savings. Depression hollowed her routines. When the library closed due to budget cuts, Margaret found herself without work, without family nearby, and without the strength to fight systems that did not pause for sorrow. One eviction followed another. Pride dissolved. Soon, she was sleeping in shelters when space allowed and on park benches when it did not. People passed her every day without seeing the woman she had been. The lighthouse sat on a rocky strip of land just outside town, long decommissioned and scheduled for demolition someday that never came. The county auctioned it quietly, more as a legal formality than a sale. Margaret heard about it from an old fisherman who pitied her and mentioned that the land could be claimed for almost nothing due to liability concerns. $5 was all she had. She spent it without hesitation, signing papers she barely understood, exchanging her last cash for a place no one wanted. The first night inside was brutal. Wind screamed through cracked windows, and salt air burned her lungs. The interior was dark, damp, and layered with decades of abandonment. Yet for the first time in years, Margaret slept without fear of being chased away. Each morning, she cleaned a little more, carrying out debris, patching leaks with scavenged materials, surviving on donated food and stubborn determination. The lighthouse became her anchor. Weeks turned into months. Margaret learned the rhythms of the sea again, finding comfort in its predictability. While clearing a collapsed storage room beneath the spiral stairs, she discovered a sealed metal hatch hidden beneath warped floorboards. It took her days to pry it open. Beneath it was a narrow chamber untouched by time, containing water-damaged documents, a locked trunk, and an old maritime map marked with coordinates and a familiar name. Thomas Hale. Her heart nearly stopped. Thomas had once mentioned distant relatives who worked coastal operations decades earlier, but nothing concrete. Inside the trunk were legal documents, trust records, and proof of ownership linked to a private maritime logistics company that had evolved into a modern shipping empire. The lighthouse property, forgotten by bureaucracy, sat on land tied to a legacy trust valued at $22 million. It had been hidden intentionally during a family dispute generations ago, protected until a rightful heir claimed the land itself. Margaret was that heir. The discovery did not bring instant joy. It brought disbelief, fear, and a deep sense of grief. All the years she had slept hungry and invisible, the legacy had waited beneath her feet. She sought legal help through a nonprofit clinic, expecting rejection or complication. Instead, the documents held firm. The ownership was real. The legacy was undeniable. News spread quickly through the town that once ignored her. Reporters arrived. Officials apologized awkwardly. Offers poured in. Margaret refused most of them. She did not leave the lighthouse immediately. Wealth did not erase memory. It only gave her the power to choose what came next. She restored the lighthouse carefully, preserving its history rather than erasing it. She funded shelters, mental health programs, and employment training across the region, focusing on people like the woman she had been. She created a foundation in Thomas's name, supporting widows, displaced workers, and those navigating grief without safety nets. She never forgot the cold nights or the silence of being unseen. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that hope can survive even the longest darkness, please like, comment, and share this video so others can feel this message too. Before the ending, we have a special request. Comment, "Light still shines," if you believe no life is ever truly forgotten. Margaret Hale still lives near the sea, not in luxury, but in peace. The lighthouse beam shines again each night, not to guide ships, but to remind the world that even the most abandoned places can hold unimaginable grace. Sometimes, the legacy we uncover is not just money, but proof that endurance itself is a kind of wealth.